Side board, Mr. Lincoln. Side board.
Looks like we're gonna have the honor.
You can wait, right? One more. What's that? One more passengers? President. Oh, oldest man.
So we have the privilege of getting. Nope, maybe not. They're going to the president. And this is going to go into the next car. Darn.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Okay. Nice to see you again.
You too. You too. You feeling all right?
Yep.
Yes.
I am.
Tickets, please. Oh, yeah, please.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Hello.
Hey, just in time.
Hello.
All the action.
So I guess once
this side, right?
the president boards, no one else is allowed to go into the car. That way.
Sit right there.
Ticket, please. Hey, you look familiar.
Yep.
You've been on this train before.
Yep. Third, fourth time already. So again, I was originally going to jump into that car, but now I'm like,
This is a good seat.
Let's talk a little about where we're going and what we'll see. Wars are always fought in somebody's backyard. For most of our war between the states, that meant the South. But in the early summer of 1863, when Lee's Confederate Army of Northern Virginia poured into Pennsylvania from behind the screen of the Blue Ridge Mountains, it was our turn to bear the brunt of the fighting, right here in the great basket of the battle. It wasn't supposed to last nearly that long.
Thank you.
But by decades of sectional hatred and finger pointing, what began as a family feud over slavery and the Union quickly flared up into a truly epic calamity with a terrible life of its own. To end it once and for all, Lee's army fanned out across 4 counties, streaming east along every dirt road they could find. Their goal was to capture Harrisburg, Philadelphia, or best of all, Washington City itself.
Mrs. Lincoln there?
They foraged as they went for food, clothing, shoes, horses.
We're getting on the way now.
And even silver and gold, if it hadn't already been.
Hoping to hear the all aboard, but
You get a history lesson.
In their wagons and carriages, burdened with valuables, fled over the dusty gray columns of oncoming rebels. Meanwhile, Lee's Union Army.
so unfortunately it started to rain right before this trip. So you won't see a lot of people here on the platform. smoke. You can see some Amish children right over there. Waving in their Sunday's best. So over there is the Red Caboose Motel. I'm going to get more footage when we come in the back the other way. So there's the Red Caboose Motel and Casey Jones restaurant as well. Someone from the hotel.
Across Lancaster County. In that case, he might have been cornered, and the fate of the Union decided not in the fields around Gettysburg, but right here in the countryside between Strasburg, Paradise, and Lemon Place. To see for ourselves what that could have looked like, our train ride today is taking us back in time to the very spots where the armies might have clashed. We'll see in Confederate gray General Early's command of regiments from Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, and Texas, and in Union blue under Lancaster's own John Reynolds. Units from Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Maine, and Wisconsin. Keep your eyes wide open. We're about to travel right into the thick of it. Here we go.
by Cherry Crest Farms.
Gunpowder and ammunition from small arms all the way to full-scale artillery field pieces was largely contained within waterproof or at least partially water-resistant packaging.
Crossing the Cherry Hill crossing.
Would eventually call the Gettysburg campaign. Confederate forces moving east and Union forces moving up from the south.
Just went through Carpenter's Crossing.
Find out where precisely the other one was. Well, if you wonder why we just stopped the train momentarily, that was the engine crew on locomotive number 90 sounding where its steam was set to sea. Perhaps from any other trains operating in our nearby area. And if you ever states, 22 million citizens in the free states of the North and Midwest, and 9 million people living in the slave states, a full 4 million of which were enslaved. So consider those numbers. 22 million in the North, 9 million, only 5 million of them free in the slave states of the South. You might think being outnumbered so decisively, how could the South have ever hoped to achieve their dream of independence from the North? Well, by the summer of 1863, suffice it to say, Lee's army was riding high on the crest of a wave that had carried them to victory after victory. While you were having read the history books of your century long after the fact, you know the outcome. So perhaps you're having a tough time imagining that the outcome of the war, and certainly the outcome of this military campaign in the summer of 1863, you might have a tough time imagining that the outcome was ever uncertain. But it was everything you could imagine something being in suspenseful, uncertain, and the outcome was anything but clear.
So we are pulling into Lemon Place here, slowly. Engine will make its way down this track right there, and then go over to the front end of the consist. The other tracks are Amtraks. Yep, there's an perfect. We got an Amtrak train coming through.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to the midpoint of our trip. Paradise. Not quite what you expected paradise to be, huh? Well, it is just Paradise, PA. We will be here just for a couple of minutes as number 90 decouples and does the run around of the train to pull us back home. When it does, I would encourage you to hoot and holler and wave and whistle at those engineers. They always appreciate that type of gratitude. Plus, if you don't, well, they just might not hook up and pull us back, which means we all have to push. While we are here, I encourage you to stand and stretch your legs. You can flip your seats front to back, move side to side. However, the reenactment will occur on the running right of the train. So please remain in your cars. Do not walk out onto the platform. And we thank you very much.
Forget that.
Welcome to Lemon Place, PA, where the Strasburg Railroad meets Amtrak's high-speed Keystone Corridor. The Philadelphia and Columbia first opened this line in 1834, and in 1857 it became an integral part of the Pennsylvania Railroad. In February of 1861, amid the seismic secession crisis, A train carrying President-elect Abraham Lincoln stopped here along the Pennsy Main Line on its way from Springfield, Illinois, to his inauguration in Washington City. He stepped out onto an end platform just long enough to greet the assembled crowd and introduce to them his wife, Mary Todd. 4 bloody years later, his funeral train passed through here in the opposite direction on its sad final journey to the mystic realm of martyrdom. Gettysburg in July of '63. Thousands more filled. And Lincoln's Gettysburg Address is today among the most famous rhetorical pieces in all of U.S. history. Better known than even his towering second inaugural. Here then are the words Lincoln.
The people shall not perish from this earth.
For our nation.
Sojourner Truth is sitting right back that way. She waved, but I kind of missed it when she was waving to the folks.
And further, I'm told we have at least one member of our nursing corps amongst us. This new Red Cross I keep hearing so much about. Angels of the battlefield, to be sure.
There goes Mr. Lincoln. Oh, come on, show yourself. He was referring to her. Mr. Lincoln just sat down with Sojourner Truth.
Folks, before we heard from Mr. Lincoln just a moment ago, we were talking about some numbers.
Just peered off at him.
It's staggering, actually, when you think about it. That the population of the American people in 1863 was not even 1/10 of what it is in the 21st century. Now, I mentioned those numbers about numerically how small the American people were to explain to you what a
Cheers, Sojourner.
You have a blessed day.
You too.
How are you, young man?
Coming through Copper's Crossing again.
My name is Susie King Taylor. I am a nurse. I was born in Georgia. I was a teacher in the Army as well as a nurse. I became a nurse later on. The experience as a Black woman in the Army obviously is very challenging. There are certain regiments that are of the African American persuasion. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
There's a march going on. Cool. They're coming out there. Oh, I just missed it. Just missed the cannon firing. Come on. I'm gonna have to get down there. Maybe they'll do more. Yeah, now you stop. Oh, there's the, yes. Cool.
As a safety precaution, we
Oh, wow.
guests to remain
Just missed that one.
inside the car they've been riding.
So there's the Rebs over there.
And the platforms, except of course the
Hear that rebel yell.
on the Hello Dolly open air car.
Oh man, they're shooting right behind us. The Federals or the Union are firing back. Now let's see if the Confederates answer back.
As you hear the repeated report of field artillery,
Ooh-ha.
do not imagine that all they're firing at each other are cannonballs, what those crews would call solid shot.
Yeah, I am.
Even at the ranges you see them deployed at now,
Oh, they're coming. They're
artillery
marching.
crews in 1863 largely would have been firing
Oh, wow.
explosive rounds at each other that fragment when the ordnance reaches, when the ammunition reaches the muzzle or the business end of the gun.
Missed it again.
There were hollow shells called case shot,
Oh, there they come.
packed with old-fashioned black gunpowder.
Here comes the Rebs.
Oh,
and they're firing.
Hot metal slivers
Firing a
down
volley.
them. There was grape shot with medium-sized iron balls. And most
Cavalry
deadly of
coming.
all, especially at close range, was what was called canister shot. Canister was truly a diabolical kind of ammunition, which amounted to
It's amazing.
strapped to a powder charge.
There comes the cavalry.
A coffee can packed with perhaps hundreds of 58 caliber musket balls.
Oh wow.
That turned any cannon into a gigantic shotgun.
They're shooting.
you see them lining up in what's called close order. When you see them lining up in battle order, shoulder to shoulder, that might strike the height of stupidity. Don't they realize what big targets they make themselves? These men were painfully aware, if I dare use that expression, painfully aware of how big they were making themselves as a target for the enemy. But they also knew that they were shouldering single-shot weapons. Even the best trained of them could get off only 3 aimed shots per minute. For a single-shot weapon, that's pretty fast for firing a musket. But by our 20th century standards, that is unbelievably slow. So why then mass your infantry line of riflemen shoulder to shoulder in close order? Because it was the only effective way that weapons of their kind to deliver any significant volume of fire against Europeans.
They're moving the limber.
You might be, it's the rain
That's the cannon limber.
What possible
Oh no, the actual cannon
advantage
itself.
could there be to
I thought it
fighting
was
in
just
the
a
rain?
lemon. Yep, no, they're moving.
Well, actually, there is one slight advantage. It helps to keep smoke.
Oh, cool. We're gonna get to see the cannon fire.
These weapons, both infantry and artillery, used old-style black gunpowder long before modern smokeless powder was developed. And the longer a battle went on, and the more shots were fired, those clouds of white powder smoke could become not only choking, but also blinding and disorienting. Shoulder to shoulder made it easier to keep connected with your unit. As the battlefield became obscured, any soldier's nightmare was
I wish you could smell what I'm smelling right now.
I smell it. No,
Yeah.
it was very comforting to be able to reach out his elbow, touch the sleeve of the comrade next to you and line.
Nurse, look like you'll be used shortly.
Here's where I come in.
Now they're doing more close order. So you got a little unit over there trying to flank them.
Lines approach each other even more nearly. You might think, good grief, aren't you close enough already? But both sides were trained in battle tactics developed back in the days of Napoleon, 50 and 60 years before the American War between the states. In the intervening years, especially in the 18th, the French army in Europe developed a new bullet. The new 58 caliber bullet made it possible to load the weapon more powerfully, but also fire longer range and accuracy. Unfortunately, 1963, the old battle tactics technology. Was so wrong. Authenticity, I should draw your attention to the historical detail of our reenactors on purpose wrong. That is, on the spots. They do it as a spectacle, especially as they draw too close. In a real Civil War battle, when both sides closed with each other and actually engaged in hand-to-hand fighting, it was savage. A rifle musket with a fixed bayonet on the muzzle could be used both as a thrusting weapon, like an old-style lance. It could also be used as a club. As our reenactment ends, please do not be too startled by so many of the wounded experiencing a exercise. Well, I see from scanning my car that one person in